Hi guys. Okay, I got the cat. This is Aviator. We tried to get her last time, but he wasn't interested. He's still not interested. Look. Okay, there we go. Chapter 8, the Landry News. Volunteer lineup for danger is this chapter. Also, Caden, how do you like these bright green walls? This was Sydney's idea when she was about 10. Okay, so question 1 is, what did Joey offer to Kara? And what is the main idea of Chapter 8? Be sure to include one piece of evidence from the story. Just let me know what you think of Chapter 8, okay? What's the main idea? What's the purpose, okay? Here we go. If the principal had walked past Mr. Larson's door on Monday, he would have thought it was just another out-of-control afternoon in Larsonland. But, in fact, the room was filled with focused activity. It looked like chaos, but the kids were doing an assignment, sprawled out on the floor, standing around in small groups, or sitting on desktops that they were leafing through old newspapers, looking at the editorial pages, and flipped through old wide sheets of newspaper print. Kids kept finding all the other odds and ends that fill a big city newspaper. Leanne called out, "Hey Sharon, I just found a story about a lady in Cicero who died and left her house to a Siamese cat. I'm not kidding, to her cat. Look at this picture. This cat now owns the house." Stephen had been reading an article about some animals that were being added to the Brookfield Zoo, and now he was arguing with Alan about which was more dangerous, a lion or a black rhinoceros. Phil was reading the obituaries, and every few minutes he discovered a person who had the same last name as a kid in his class, and he would yell things out. "Hey Tommy, do you have a relative named Casimir who owned a bakery in Glen Allen? The guy died in a car crash on Saturday." Remember, some of these newspapers are very old. Some kids had actually found the editorial pages and were now hunting around the classroom, searching for scissors and tape and glue and construction paper. Kara wasn't doing the assignment. She was going to, of course, but just not right now. She was working on something more important, her second edition of the Landry News. Joey taped the bulletin board behind Kara as if there was a door on the room, and he would say, "Knock, knock, anyone there?" The sound startled Kara, and she swung around in her chair, annoyed at the interruption. But when she saw it was Joey, her mind went almost blank for a moment. Then Kara smiled and said, "Sure, I'm here." Joey grinned and leaned one shoulder against the wall. "So, what do you think? What's up, Larson? I thought he would still be mad at you." Kara nodded. "So did I, but I really think he isn't. It's kind of weird because now he knows that we're all thinking about what kind of teacher he is. I think he's just trying to figure out what to do next. And did you notice we all have an assignment, a real assignment?" Joey rolled his eyes and wrinkled his nose. "Yeah, I noticed that. Thanks a lot." Then, with a devilish grin, Joey said, "And Mr. Larson didn't say a thing about the Landry News, did he? And you'd better not say anything else. You can just forget about making another newspaper. You're not going to, are you?" Kara said, "Make another one." Did you think I wasn't going to? Of course I am. That was just another addition." Oh, there's Harley. Harley, say hi. Harley, come here. Come here. There you, okay, just pick up your head. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, here, Harley. There she is. Okay, good girl. Of course I'm going to make another newspaper. I just really don't know if that's a good idea. He said, "What are you going to do? Write a whole nother one yourself?" "No, I was thinking of using the computer." "I don't really know how to use a computer," she said. "Well, at least not well enough to do something like this." "Well, I don't have one at home, and the school one where I used to live had a couple computers, and no one ever let me get near them. I think I had a bad reputation at that school." "A bad reputation? You? Let me guess. Could that have had something to do with you having a newspaper there?" But really, it's not too hard to use a computer. I talked with Ed, and we want to be on your staff, like work for your newspaper. You can do all the writing and stuff, and we can help you. We'll be good with the stories, and we're good with the computer. As long as the teacher says it's okay, Mrs. Steinhardt will let us use the whole setup, the printer, the paper, and everything. Kara hesitated. She wasn't expecting the Landry News was her newspaper. She was expecting to do it all by herself, not to share it with other people. Still, this offer was pretty tempting. If she could get control of this and use one copy, not one copy, but many, it would be like a real newspaper. Kara thought about it, and she thought what her mom had said. She wasn't making the Landry News now because she was angry. She was making it because she was good at it, and she thought it was interesting, and she was determined to be a great journalist. And besides all that, it was Joey DeLuca standing here smiling at her and offering to help. So Kara made a decision. She smiled at Joey and stood up, and she said, "Sounds good. Let's ask Mr. Larson if we can go and talk to Mrs. Steiner right now." A minute later, Mr. Larson looked at Joey and Kara, and he looked over top of his newspaper. And he said, "You guys want to go to the library?" So he looks a little suspicious. "Yes, we'd like to go right now, but we need your permission to use the computer there for a project." Mr. Larson looked at Joey's face, then looked at Kara's face. Without showing any approval or disapproval, he laid down his newspaper, pulled up his front top drawer to his desk, and found a memo pad with his name on the top. He picked up the pen and said, "What's the date?" Kara said, "It's October 8th. As Joey and Kara watched Mr. Larson starting to write, it said, a note, "Dear Mrs. Steiner, please allow Joey DeLuca and Kara Landry to have my permission to use the resource computer for..." Kara and Joey looked at each other. "A project," they said. He added his initials below, handing the note. "Hope this project's a good one, children." Kara nodded. "Oh, it's going to be a good one," she said. "Well," said Mr. Larson, "you'll have to tell me all about it one of these days." As he dropped the memo pad, he picked up the newspaper again. Mr. Larson said, "Please be sure you're both back 5 minutes before the last bell." Looking over the top of his reading glasses, Mr. Larson watched Kara and Joey walk quickly out of the classroom, and he sat there behind his newspaper, and he started to grin. Now remember, main idea, and what does Kara ask Joey to do? I'm sorry, let me take that back. What did Joey offer to Kara? Okay, and then the main idea. What's this all about? How is everything starting to come together? Okay, I'll see you at the next reading.